Thank you, Mr President. To ask the Minister for Health and Social Care what progress has been made on an email appointment notification system designed to cut down on postage and improve the speed of communication.
The Minister for Health and Social Care, Mr Ashford.
Thank you, Mr President. The hospital patient administration system does have the functionality to send letters by email, and this has been looked at in the past, but we have been advised consistently by the Government Technology Service that the current method would pose a security risk. We regularly review this and are also working to review the wider administration and clerical services at Nobles to drive efficiencies where we can. We also continue to promote the text appointment reminder scheme, which is currently in use for all outpatient appointments, and we are shortly extending this to radiology services too.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Thank you. Could the Minister perhaps share the advice that he's had about this being a security risk? Because this is saved on the Master Patient Index page on Medway, just in the same way as a postal address. And the ability to send an email to the wrong address is exactly the same as an ability to send a letter to the wrong address. Of course, we know that happens as well, but rarely. And so I appreciate if we could look at this, because I know this has been on the cards for at least 4 years, just over 4 years since I first raised it.
Mr Ashford to reply.
Thank you, Mr President. I'm more than happy to share it, and it's right up my street, actually, from my former career in the private sector. It's not in relation to wrong addresses or potentially being sent to the wrong place. It's actually around a feature of how email works. So, for instance, if you are going to do automated emails off the back of an appointment system, which is what we'd be looking at, then it uses something called a Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, or SMTP, that a lot of people will have heard. The problem with SMTP is that it allows not just the application that you're using to send the email, it actually, any other applications on the computer can be accessed via that SMTP as well. So you can't just have it linked to it. Programs such as Outlook, which honourable members will be very familiar of, have proper authentication systems that mean you must have Outlook open at the time and sending it through. In order to do an automatic generated appointments one, it doesn't. It has to use SMTP. And what that means is it poses a security risk for malware and anything on the computer that may come through other applications to also be able to access the SMTP and therefore spread to all other computers that have the continuously open SMTP, which across the HSC would be 2,000 odd computers. Many honourable members will remember, of course, Mr President, the issues the UK NHS had not long ago with WannaCry, and one of the issues they had around their radiology systems that weren't up to date, and also SMTP was identified there as a vulnerability as well.
Honourable Member Miss Edge.
Thank you, Mr President. Just wonder if I could seek some reassurance from the Minister that the targeted cost savings in postage won't come in the way of effective communication with people, and how, if he moves down this road for digital with appointment letters, how would he envisage it being monitored? And you know, there's a high dependency on people with receiving something and postage. I'm just wondering how he would monitor that to ensure that appointments aren't missed at a greater cost to his department of an email system that might not be reaching the most. The people that would you know, perhaps haven't got access. We're aware that we have problems with or broadband in certain areas of the island. So I'm just wondering how the Minister would get over those hurdles.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. Unless I've imagined it, I think I have answered something similar in this Honourable Court or another place previously, where, as I've pointed out, from my point of view, any system, be it text reminder or other, has to be signed up to by the patient. It's up to the patient how they receive it. You can't go down the route of just saying everyone will receive it via email and via text. It's important we have that so that people, if they do wish to receive post, will still receive it via post. In terms of the savings, obviously, you know, any savings in postage are not going to get in the way of communication. If appointment letters need to go out, they will go out. One of the things I think that is we're looking at electronically is actually using patient apps. Obviously, as I've explained, there's issues around the and doing it via email. And to be perfectly honest, in this day and age now, email's a bit old hat. People end up with so many different emails in their inbox. People much prefer apps, and I think we need, if we're going to get with the times, we should be going for a 21st century solution, not a 1990s one.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We seem to hear a lot in this honourable court about sort of one system, tell us once. We have one online system for the Alabama government. Has the Minister not considered actually using that to send messages to people? That system seems to have no problem sending automated emails when messages are received. There's no chance of things getting missed. I'm just concerned to hear talk of apps. Whilst it sounds great, again, it seems like we're adding more and more of these different portals for people to have to check, where actually we have one system already that's used by a wide variety of government services, and I would just think that some consolidation and a bit of common sense is probably appropriate.
No, it's good. Minister.
All for consolidation and doing things in a joined-up way, Mr. President, as the Honourable Member for Ramsey knows. In relation to what I assume he's referring to as the online services portal, in terms of automated emails, what you tend to find is, because I use the online portal myself, the automated emails don't actually contain the same sort of electronic information as would be produced by the Medway system in an appointment. There is no physical way round of doing it via email, even if it was linked to the online portal, without activating the STMP route across the government computers within DHSC. That's the way the system works, and that's the protocol it would need to use to be able to access across the multiple...
Just give way. Actually, what I was asking is, rather than... I'm not asking to route things via the online system. What I was suggesting is uploading messages to the online system in the same way the income tax department do, where the message is itself securely stored online within that locked account.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. President. In order to generate that message from the Medway system, it would still require an STMP to do that, and that's where the issue comes in, Mr. President. It still requires the ability to be able to do that via an STMP, which is an open link, which, like I say, the Government Technology Service has been very rigid on, actually presents a serious security risk.
Member Dr. Allenson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm in awe of the Honourable Member's knowledge of internet security, so I won't question him on that. But from a very basic point of view, would the Minister agree that sending an email, often to a joint account, with somebody's appointment with some personal details is not particularly sensible, and using texts to somebody's personal phone is a lot more secure and confidential way of informing them of an appointment coming up? Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm more than happy to agree with the other Honourable Member for Ramsey, Dr. Allenson. And like I say, I mean, if you look at where demand is, I really personally don't feel that email is the answer. In terms of apps, if we design an app and the app is the front end, then there is certain things you could look at to link it through to online services from the front end of the app. But at the moment, the only way you could really do it in a secure way via email is you could obviously have it print to PDF, but that would then need manual intervention for someone to actually send it on. You wouldn't be able to just do that because, again, doing it otherwise would require access via STMP.
Mr. Speaker.
A few issues to pick up on, Mr. President. The first one to pick up on Dr. Allenson's point is the text message solution on the way while we wait for the appy day that the Minister is looking forward to. Obviously, we can get other things via and we already have an app for primary health care in terms of making appointments with GPs and things like that. Is that something that has been looked at as a front end for this? Again, in terms of picking up on Mr. Hooper's point, and I appreciate the SCMP issue, but actually what I think Mr. Hooper was talking about there is actually making that SCMP link internally within government rather than it being front-facing. And the final one would be to ask the Minister if, in terms of the print to PDF and then email, what's the difference between a member of staff emailing it out and running it out as an item of post?
Minister to reply.
Taking the last point first, I fully agree with Mr. Speaker, and that was the point I obviously didn't make very clearly, that if it was done as PDF and sent out, there's no saving, because it would actually take just as long as actually posting it out in the first place, if it was done as a print to PDF and then distributed. So via email, there's no actual saving in there. In relation to the STMP, where he mentioned about online services, Mr. President, again, it's not as simple as that, because the actual data would need to be provided by Medway. It then needs to go through the system even internally, but that STMP can still be accessed externally because it is constantly open on that computer. So if any form of malware gets onto that computer in any way, in fact, it could be even worse because it could then access and spread across the whole of government. is my understanding, and certainly my understanding from when I worked in this in the private sector as well. I've forgotten what one of the other points was that missed. In terms of text message reminder, I can say that's already in place for all outpatient appointments, and as I said in my original answer, we're expanding it to radiology as well.